Did you see Mickelson's statement this week?
Is it another one or the original one?
Yeah, one that he did. Oh yeah, it was last Tuesday released it.
Yes.
Or maybe Wednesday.
Yeah.
Seen the sponsors that have dropped him.
Yeah, basically Callaway have paused his partnership. KPMG have dropped him.
The beer company who sponsored him.
It's a funny one, isn't it, with Mickelson? There's been, I suppose, rightly so to some degree, a lot of outrage with how he's behaved. There's been other people kind of questioning, well, why is it that bad? Like, he's obviously not handled himself very well, but why is it worthy of getting dropped from every kind of sponsor?
Yeah.
And I can see both sides. I think to come out and basically say that he was in talks with the Saudis, who he thinks are very dodgy, to try and just leverage the PGA Tour, feels a bit bad on both sides, really.
Yeah, he was kind of playing both parties.
Yeah.
Which is a very risky game.
But then I suppose the only reason why, then I'm thinking the brands have they just thought, I don't know why they've
Well,
kind
he
of
gave them the option.
Right.
He gave them the option to pause or end the contract.
That's Callaway, or all of them?
All of them.
Oh, right, okay.
In that statement, he mentioned, if any of my partners want to pause...
I don't know if I saw this statement then. Which one? Oh,
it's quite a long one, so I won't read it all out. But let me just try and find the little bit that he said. Because he mentioned this idea that if any brand... I've got it here in front of me, just give me 1 second.
I think that's another thing, though. I think this day and age now, which you understand with social media and stuff, that brands have to be very careful with what their ambassadors, their athletes kind of say and do. So they are often erring on the very cautious side.
So this direct quote, he's talking about the partnerships.
Yeah.
The last thing I would ever want to do is compromise them, partners, or their business in any way. And I have given all of them the option to pause or end the relationship, as I understand it might be necessary given the current circumstances. End quote. So it's interesting because like some of these are really long time partners of him.
Yeah. Do you think it's more that he's coming out quite badly, which is why I don't want anything to do with him, rather than what he's actually said, if that makes sense? Because I don't think what he said, although it's not great, he's never said anything that's that like, I don't think the brands would not be associated with him for that. Is it more just that he's in the really bad light and they don't want to... Do you get what I mean?
I think he's just put himself in a very precarious position. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think because of ongoing... Because he's not the only player that's been talking about a breakaway league. Yeah. Like, he's not the only player that's come out and said change needs to happen. He's not the only player that's come out and said about the PGA Tour may not always been the most fair. But he's been the most vocal.
But he's also the only one that's come out and said he had essentially no intention of doing it. He just done it to...
Yeah.
That's the difference. I think if somebody came out, and they won't do, but said, I absolutely want to play on that tour for X, Y, and Z. So, okay, fair. Like, they'd get a lot of hate for it, but fair enough, that's why. But he's come out and said, I've got no intention of doing that. I've just done it to try and make the PGA Tour give us more money for NFTs and whatever.
Which I find bizarre. I don't feel like I fully believe him in that statement.
The only thing is, again, I'm not for 1 second on Mickelson's side. I'm a kind of middle of the road. I don't dislike him. I don't like him. I just kind of whatever. But it is quite bad, the internet culture, where like when you're down, everybody just jumps on you, isn't it? Like, it mustn't be in that. I mean, he's done it himself, so fair enough. Like, he's a big boy. I'm sure he can handle himself, and he'll probably come out the other side of it, and people might forget in 5-10 years' time. I'm sure they will. I can't imagine his whole career will be tarnished by this, or I'd like to think it won't. Tiger came back from things, I'm not saying are as bad or as good, but, things that in his life weren't great. But it does feel a bit bad when everyone, but
I wonder what the fans are going to react like when he plays in his next tournament. I mean, first off, are the PGA Tour going to ban him? I don't think they've made a decision on that just yet.
Yeah, can they ban him yet? I thought it's done.
I don't know. I think the only thing that's in the clause is there's something in the clause, and again, I don't want to get this wrong, so I better be careful what I say. Something along the lines of something in the clause where if you've had extended conversations about a breakaway tour or something, there's something around that. I don't want to get it completely wrong, but I don't know if the fans, next time he plays in a tour event, how they're going to react. Because, as you mentioned there with Tiger, he obviously did a lot of naughty stuff off and away from golf.
This is golf, yeah.
This is directly influencing golf. I just don't... I mean, he's a fan's favourite. Yeah. A lot of the time, he's a fan's favourite. He spends time signing autographs. Like, people seem to love him. He seems to be great on social media. But, yeah, he's going to come back, and it's going to be very hostile, I think.
The other thing I would say is two things. Firstly, people do forget over time.
They do.
You know, there's
100%.
other famous sports people or singers or whatever who've done terrible things or bad things, and after time you get forget. And also, the other thing I would say is that you can't always take social media as gospel, because a lot of the time people on Twitter are the ones who like to shout the loudest on Twitter.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people have no interest in, going on Twitter, and might not have that much of an opinion on it. And also, as well, again, it's a massive story in the golf world. You know, the people that listen to this podcast or go on to online. A lot of average golfers going to the Open who won't know this has even happened. They will. It seems mad that there'll be so many people that have no idea about the Saudi Golf League.
Yeah,
there'll be literally hundreds and thousands of them.
That is true.
So I do think if he does it well, he might come out of it in the end okay. But in the short term, it's going to be quite hard to ride out, I guess.
If you want to come on the podcast, Phil,
yeah,
and explain yourself,
yeah,
open invitation.
Yeah,
feel free.
Yeah.
I'll sponsor you. Every little Rick Shiels logo on his hat.
Would you? Would you sponsor him right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hands down.
What if we lost loads of subscribers?
Maybe not.
Think on that one.
I'll retract that.
Hopefully this is recorded, this whole podcast.